What's going on, Vikings fans? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the smart hire the Vikings just made to their front office. They added in a cap space specialist, so we'll discuss that on the front half of today's show. And then Justin Jefferson making his rounds at Super Bowl Media Week, and he has had a lot to say on J.J. McCarthy, some of the trade rumors, and his past season this year with the Vikes. And hey, Justin Jefferson, he was straight class in a lot of these quotes. So if you guys want to show Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the National Football League, some love, give me those 18s down below. He's actually on the Fox Sports show, First Things First, and Nick Wright asked him, do you still believe that you are the best wide receiver in the NFL? And he pretty much tripled down on him saying, absolutely. I mean, what else do I have to do? So I love the confidence, love the way Jefferson has been moving this offseason, and he looks motivated and pissed off to get back on the football field next season and remind everybody truly how good he is at playing the game of football. So if you guys want to show him some love, type those 18s down below. All right, earlier today, the Vikings have hired Matt Thomas, who spent 11 seasons as a Seahawks vice president of football operations, as a football administrative consultant. He will assist the team through the 2026 NFL Draft. So I think this is a very smart hire by the Vikings because if you guys remember, those Seahawks teams for the last 11 years, I mean, they have always been good. I mean, those were teams that won Super Bowls, made the conference championship games, and have always drafted very well, specifically in the secondary. Obviously, we all remember the Legion of Boom with Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. I mean, he had a big part in finding those players. So I think this is an elite hire by the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, honestly, I'm thrilled about it. The Vikings obviously, shakiness in the front office right now after letting go of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and they need to get another guy in the building, and Matt Thomas will take on that role. So I think it was pretty good for the Vikings to just get another voice in that room as well. And, also with the Vikings right now, is why it's so important to get another good voice in the room is that they have a massive offseason ahead. I mean, jobs are on the line this year, and that requires the Vikings to make a lot of big-time moves. I mean, what are you going to do at the quarterback position? I mean, you got cut candidates you need to discuss, like guys like T.J. Hawkinson. What are you going to do with him? Are you going to cut him, save around $17 million? I think they probably will, but maybe they decide not to. A guy like Javon Hargrave. Gave him a bad contract this past offseason. Are you just going to cut bait this year? Then you got guys like Aaron Jones, Ryan Kelly. What are you going to do there? Also restructuring contracts and extending some guys like Brian O'Neill. Do you extend him, lower his cap hit, or maybe do you try to find an offensive tackle in the draft? Do you try to restructure a Jonathan Gennard, a Justin Jefferson, turn that money into signing bonuses, and then just push that money down the line? Those are going to be big decisions the Vikings need to make. And then obviously the quarterback position. Like, will you just trust J.J. McCarthy to develop this offseason, or are you going to swing big and go out there and get an immediate upgrade at the quarterback spot? They got to determine that. And then you have to do all that. Then you get to the two biggest events of the NFL offseason. Free agency. Who are you going to bring in? Will you bring in a safety, a cornerback? And then if you don't bring in a safety or a cornerback, will you address that in the NFL draft? You need to add another linebacker, another defensive lineman. Like, there are some big decisions to make. So I like the Vikings adding another voice in that front office who just help Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, and Rob Brzezinski just manage this whole situation here in Minnesota. But I do want to talk about this here really quickly. Alec Lewis, I think the best in the game for the Athletic that cover them as he covers the Minnesota Vikings. In his perfect offseason for the Vikes, he had the Vikings trading for Kyler Murray. Now, obviously, Alec Lewis very tapped in with the organization. Now, I don't know if he was hearing something about the Vikings potentially trading for Kyler Murray, or if this is just him wanting the Vikings to do just that. I have been in the camp that I am in on a Kyler Murray trade. If the Vikings were to pull that off this offseason, sign me up for it. I think Kyler still has a lot of talent left in that tank. This guy was, top 10 pick in the MLB draft, number 1 overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner. Like, this guy is very accomplished here in his sports playing career, and I just believe in the talent. I think he would also fall in the same bucket of guys like Sam Darnold, guys like Baker Mayfield, as they were high draft picks with their team. Where they got drafted to bad organizations, what the Arizona Cardinals are, bring him to Minnesota with the support system the Vikings have with Jefferson, solid offensive line, and Kevin O'Connell to make it work out. Now the scheme fit with KOC and Kyler. Maybe Kyler's going to have to start playing under center more. Maybe KOC will have to lean more into Kyler's strengths. But I would trust in just the talent that Kyler has and the Vikings being able to figure it out, because there's no doubt if Kyler and JJ stepped on the football field, and let's just say they had a battle at training camp, like, everybody's going to see the talent that Kyler has compared to a guy like J.J. McCarthy, unless J.J. just takes a lot of strides this offseason and develops into a top 15 quarterback, which very well could happen. But what say you on this one? Speaking about Kyler Murray, I know a lot of people say no to this idea, but I'm with Alec Lewis on this one. I think I would if I were the Minnesota Vikings. Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass down below. Now, all right, let me tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. And if you guys head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. And if you want to eat better but have zero time and zero energy to make it happen, Factor doesn't ask you to meal prep or follow recipes. It just removes the entire problem. 2 minutes, real food, done. And Factor is already made by chefs, designed by dietitians, and delivered to your door, and you heat it for just 2 minutes and eat. Lean proteins, colorful vegetables, whole food ingredients, healthy fats. That is Factor, and it's the stuff you'd make if you had the time. And I love Factor because they have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils, which is huge. And they also have over 100 rotating meals every single week, high protein options, calorie smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, and ready to eat salads. So if you guys could, head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, this offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. All right, the best wide receiver in the National Football League, Justin Jefferson, was sounding off at Super Bowl Media Week, and I loved what he had to say. Just taking the high road as he normally does. I will say, I don't know if he's ever been PR trained in his life, but this guy, I mean, he talks like a quarterback and when he's out there, but he also has the swagger of wide receiver. So it's a great combo anytime I listen to Jefferson talk. But obviously, he was asked about the Vikings quarterback plan, and he took kind of the most Justin Jefferson route possible. He said, "That's not my decision. I don't care who's throwing me that ball. That's not my main priority. That person that's throwing that ball needs to throw that ball and lead us to the big dance at the end of the season. Right now, JJ is my quarterback. For me, it's to get him to where we need to go. It starts off right now." Now, obviously, Jefferson, if he wanted to, be an asshole, he could have thrown, JJ McCarthy under the bus, but it was a straight class from number 18 per usual. I mean, every single time this guy is asked about, whether it's JJ McCarthy or even back when he was playing with like Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, or just some of the bad quarterbacks he has played with, he's always taken the high road. He's always defended his quarterback, and he's always just, told it like it is. Like, hey, that's not my job. My job is to get open and to catch the football, which is true. Like, I like how he kind of, keeps everything in a vacuum, and he doesn't think too big picture with a lot of things. So just straight class from Jefferson, and it's actually what he had to say about some Buffalo Bills trade rumors being thrown out there. He says, "I've been hearing a couple of Mafia fans talking a little bit here and there," and he said, "but I'm a Viking." So kind of shut that down. I think Jefferson, like, obviously, number one for him is winning. And I just think there's no chance he gets traded. Like, Jefferson is, like, for the Vikings organization, it's like having that franchise quarterback. And, yes, other teams' fan bases will probably look at Minnesota and say, oh, well, Jefferson could get frustrated. Like, he didn't have a great year. Uncertainty at the quarterback position. Like, what if he demands a trade? It's never going to happen. And even if he does get traded, it would never be reported like he demanded a trade. It would probably be Jefferson going behind closed doors and telling the front office, like, hey, let's get me elsewhere. I just want to go win. Clearly, we're not going in that direction. But I do think this year is a big year because the Vikings have another replica of what the 2025 season was. Then I could see him potentially being dealt. But as that stands right now, there's no chance he gets traded. I mean, there's a better chance that I think Patrick Mahomes gets traded from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Vikings won't move off Jefferson. He's one of those untouchables in the National Football League. But this is what he had to say. Kay Adams asked him about, hey, how did you hit 1K yards this past season? And he said, honestly, I don't know. I really don't. There were some games I only had 1 or 2 catches. Obviously, it was a plan to get me more catches, more yards, more touchdowns, but it just didn't happen that way. And, when he was answering this, you could kind of feel it that he was frustrated with how this past season went because obviously Jefferson only getting 1,000 yards. Like, that's a joke. He was healthy for all 17 games. You would expect any year Jefferson's playing all 17 games to get, 1,300 bare minimum yards. But this year, only had 1,000. 2 touchdowns, which I think the biggest concern is him only getting 2 touchdowns. Let's get him in the end zone more next season. But I think the revenge tour is coming for Jefferson because, if you ask people who's the best wide receiver in football, I don't think a lot of people would say Jefferson. I think most people would say, oh, JSN is, Puka Nacua is, or still Jamar Chase, maybe. And I'm sure Chase and Jefferson are looking at, like, JSN and Puka the headlines are like, we're better than them. And I think they are. Like, I think Jefferson and Chase are all-time great talents, and maybe Puka and JSN are as well. Really, really good wide receivers right now in the NFL. But I think Jefferson will get his top title back next season as the true wide receiver one in the league. And also I think Jamar Chase will as well. I think both those guys can be incredibly motivated this offseason and heading into next season. But if you guys made it to the end, appreciate all of you guys for watching. Give me those skulls down below in the comments section. Shout out to all the real ones for tuning in today's show. We will be live tomorrow on the channel, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, tune in, and hop into our live show tomorrow at about 4 p.m. Central Time. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, let's go Vikes.